Day is just over a week away, and plenty of people are voting early across the metro. There is a lot more at stake than just government offices. Several propositions and amendments will be on your ballot, including Amendment 2, which would legalize sports betting in Missouri. Our John Kipper is taking a look at the ads you're seeing on your screens, breaking down fact from fiction.
As a mom and former first grade teacher, I care deeply about education. That's why I'm voting for Amendment 2.
This ad from Winning for Missouri Education, aiming to legalize sports betting in Missouri, has been all over television screens. It focuses on the tax revenue from sports gambling going to Missouri schools.
Amendment 2 has a constitutional guarantee that ensures the money from sports betting goes to our schools. No more wasted dollars.
Amendment 2 puts a 10% tax on sports gaming revenue and states the annual tax revenue will go to the institutions of elementary, secondary, and higher education in this state. So the tax revenue generated from sports betting is guaranteed to go to Missouri schools. But critics say that doesn't necessarily mean schools will see more dollars than the past. Elias Chapelis with the libertarian-leaning think tank the Show Me Institute says although the money must go to schools, there is no requirement that the state must maintain the spending levels elsewhere. Meaning if the state got $10 million in sportsbook tax revenue, they could simply take out $10 million from education funds and put it elsewhere. Jack Cardetti with Winning for Missouri Education disagrees and states the funding is on top of existing school revenue and is a separate fund.
Those contributions are made outside of the regular foundation formula. The foundation formula is what funds schools throughout Missouri. So because this is on top of and outside of the foundation formula, that means it's going to be net new revenue.
The foundation formula is the money Missouri gives directly to schools. It accounts for nearly half of the state's education spending. The amendment does not mention the formula at all, or say anything about the tax revenue being on top of or outside regular school funding, or a word on a special fund created for schools. All it says is revenues go to schools and colleges. We asked Cardetti to point out where in the amendment it states funds would be on top of existing funding. He said he'd email us back that section, and we never got that email. And it doesn't appear anything could stop lawmakers from using the sports gaming money on the school formula.
It means zero net gain for education. So
that's Brooke Foster, spokesperson for Missourians Against the Deceptive Gambling Amendment, who says the amendment would not help Missouri schools in any meaningful way. Plus, Democratic State Senator Carla May and Democratic House Rep Peter Meredith, both of whom helped make the budget in Jeff City, tell First Alert Force separately there is nothing legally stopping the legislature from taking away current education funding and using the new sports betting tax money in its spot. So while the legislature could decide to tack on the money on top of what they already were going to spend, they may not, and so the amendment may not lead to additional funding for education. We mark this claim misleading.
Big out-of-state gambling corporations are spending millions pushing Amendment 2.
And this ad from Missourians Against the Deceptive Online Gambling Amendment aired statewide in response to the first ad, aiming to convince Missourians to vote no. And their claim questions whether there would ever be a pot of money to pull from.
The state's official analysis concluded Amendment 2 would allow them to pay zero gaming taxes to Missouri. That means $0 for Missouri schools.
The claim uses a fiscal note produced by the Missouri Auditor's Office last year. The anti-gambling group specifically points to this sentence. The Missouri Gaming Commission anticipates that operators will be permitted to deduct amounts to the extent the operator pays zero gaming taxes for sports wagering. The amendment allows sportsbooks to deduct off their tax bill promotions or free play credits they offer bettors. They can deduct from what's known as the handle. That's the total amount of money bet to each sportsbook. These promotions are used by sportsbooks to help lure in bettors, specifically to their online platform, in hopes they stay long-term. The Auditor's Office argues these promo deductions, along with federal tax deductions, allow sportsbooks to claim $0 in taxes.
It reduces their tax liability, which is something that all businesses try to do. But at the end of the day, that means our classrooms aren't getting what they're promising.
But the pro-gaming side commissioned their own report that contradicts the state auditor's office.
They can't deduct more than 25%. That's what guarantees that the schools are going to get these revenues.
Cardetti points out that sportsbooks would only be able to deduct 25% of the total amount bet, saying other states did not cap it. And it led to problems. Winning for Missouri Education hired a gaming consultant and market research firm, Eilers and Kretzik, to dig into the numbers. The firm services the gambling industry, and reports from the Missouri Ethics Commission show the pro campaign paid them $45,000 this year for strategic management. They estimate $105 million of annual revenue to the state over the first 5 years.
The most important thing that Amendment 2 does is it makes sure that we bring those revenues back to the state of Missouri.
But according to their own projections, sportsbooks only use 8% of that that deduction, nowhere near that 25% number. And with the 8% projection, it only leaves just over $4 million in taxes in the first year. Although when they explain their numbers, they say some states have seen as much as 9.5% deducted in the first year of legalized betting. And that small difference could lead to big problems. If that occurs in Missouri, or even slightly less, that would leave no tax money for the state. We asked Cardetti about these issues and if he could explain.
Let's get me, you, and the author of the study on the phone together.
Cardetti wanted one of the authors of the study to answer the question, but the next week, the phone call never happened. And after emailing detailed questions to Cardetti, he responded 2 days later saying, "Let me reach back out and get you the answer." That was 2 weeks ago, and we continue to wait. But Cardetti did add during the interview that deduction revenue could be offset by licensing fees. His campaign argues over $15 million will go straight to the state. The auditor's office believes it'll be closer to $12 million. Foster responds by saying the deductions won't just be used year one.
We think that these deductions, will continue to be made.
So in the first year, it's possible sportsbooks pay little of the 10% tax due to promo deductions, but the state still receives some money due to licensing fees, and it's unclear what happens down the road. There's enough uncertainty that the auditor's office projects anywhere from the state gaining 0 tax dollars to $29 million, saying the numbers are subject to a wide margin based on the uncertainty of operators' abilities to claim deductions. Because of all this uncertainty, we mark the claim that the state will receive 0 tax money for schools as unclear. Now, as we mentioned in Missouri, that promo cap would be at 25% of the total bets. And Colorado recently changed their law, capping promotion deductions to just 2.5%. That's 10 times lower than what Missouri would have in place if voters approve the measure. Now, the pro side of this argument argues they need these promo deductions to make their business profitable long term. Reporting in studio, John Kipper, First Alert 4.